Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalam ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursaleen wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'een. I know it's early after Fajr, so most people are either asleep or getting ready for work or getting ready for their day. So I figured that since today was the day of Arafah and the Hujjaj, those who are performing Hajj don't have the luxury to sleep in this morning, that we would kind of share some lessons about Hajj. So inshallah ta'ala, this morning we're going to talk about some of the lessons that we get from Hajj, in hopes that we can kind of share the experience for those of our brothers and sisters from our whatever locality you're from. We can kind of share in that experience with them. I think it's important that for us to have those shared experiences. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, "Al-Muslimun ka-jasadin wahidin," that the believers are like one body. They're like one body. إِذَا اشْتَكَى مِنْهُ عَضْوٌ, that if one part of the body aches, then the other parts of the body call for sleeplessness and and they feel the same pain. So while our brothers and sisters are on the mountain of Arafah, and although they're in the khayma, although they're in the tent or whatever the case may be, it's still hot. All right, it's still hot. Some of the past couple of days in Arabia, in the Arabian Peninsula altogether, has the levels of heat have reached at least 110, 111. So can you imagine being outside, in that type of weather while we sit in the luxury of our home, sleep, snoring underneath an air conditioner, underneath a fan, enjoying, the luxuries that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us. So I thought that it would be only appropriate that this morning we kind of share in some of that experience as their day is coming to an end. They'll be on Mount Arafah until after Salatul Asr, and then they'll make their way down to Muzdalifah, and then they'll spend the night at Muzdalifah, and then tomorrow morning, inshallah ta'ala, they will make their way back to Mina, where they will start making preparations for slaughtering and making tawaf around the Kaaba, tawaf al-Ifada, the main pillar, one of the main pillars of Hajj, which is to make tawaf al-Ifada. So it's a very important day for the pilgrims today, and it's a very important day for the Muslims, because the day of Arafah is a day that those who are not participating in Hajj, they should be fasting. They should be fasting. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Man sama yawma Arafah," whoever fasts the day of Arafah, then he will be forgiven for his sins for the previous year and the upcoming year. He will be forgiven for his sins. And of course, this is in light of the other narration, "Majtunib al-kaba'ir," so as long as you stay away from the major sins. Major sins in Islam, they have a specific expiation that if it is not done, then that sin stays with you until you meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala yawm al-qiyamah. Wa in sha'a ghafara lak wa in sha'a adhabak. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wills, He will pardon you and forgive you for the sin, and if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wills, He will punish you for the sin. So this is what the scholars say: you're tahta mashi'atillah, you're under the will or the decision of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That if Allah wills, He'll punish you for it, and if He wills, then He'll forgive you for it. So fasting the day of Arafah, the person can reap the reward of being forgiven for 2 years worth of sin. And there's no one from amongst us who can do, who is mustagni, who is not in need of this reward, not in need of this blessing. So let's talk about some of the lessons that a person is going to learn on Hajj. For those of you who have never made Hajj before, and for those of you who have the intention, the niyyah to make Hajj in the future. Let's talk about some of the things, some of the lessons that the person is going to learn on Hajj. So be patient with me as we walk through some of these lessons. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وأذن في الناس بالحج يأتوك رجالا وعلى كل ضامر يأتين من كل فج عميق ليشهدوا منافع لهم ويذكر اسم الله في أيام معلومات على ما رزقهم من بهيمة الأنعام. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala begins this ayah, very beautiful verse in the Quran, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَأَذِّن فِي النَّاسِ. Adhin comes from the word adhan. Proclaim to people. Proclaim to the people. Adhin fi nas, proclaim to the people. Bil hajj. Proclaim to the people to perform hajj. Ya'tuka rijalan. They will come to you on feet. Ya'tuka rijalan. They will come to you on feet. وَعَلَى كُلِّ ضَامِرٍ. And they will come to you on every camel, every riding animal. من كل فج عميق. From every corner of the world. From every corner of the world. Who is the mukhatab? Who is the one that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is speaking to in this ayah? Who is the mukhatab? The mukhatab is Ibrahim alayhi salam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is commanding Ibrahim, وَأَذِّن فِي النَّاسِ. Call out and proclaim to people the performance of Hajj, the obligation of performing Hajj to this house, and they will come to you on feet. They will come to you on every riding animal from every corner of the world. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says why? لِيَشْهَدُوا مَنَافِعَ لَهُمْ. لِيَشْهَدُوا مَنَافِعَ لَهُمْ. So that they can witness the benefits that is in it for them. مَنَافِعَ لَهُمْ. الْمَنْفَعْ. And the plural of it is manafi'. That they can witness the benefits that is in Hajj lahum, for them. وَيَذْكُرُ اسْمَ اللَّهِ فِي أَيَّامٍ مَعْلُومَاتٍ. And they can remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's name in days that are specified number of days. It was mentioned in the tafsir of this ayah, or the authority of Abdullah bin Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhuma, who said, لما فرغ إبراهيم عليه السلام من بناء البيت قيل له أذن في الناس بالحج فقال يا ربي ما يبلغ صوتي. That Abdullah bin Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhuma, he said that when Ibrahim alayhi salam finished rebuilding the Kaaba, because who built the Kaaba from the very beginning? Who was the originator, the original builder of the Kaaba? It was Adam alayhi salam. And then after years, the Kaaba began to, erode, time and, circumstance, time and weather and things like that begin to play a part in the erosion of the Kaaba and the breaking down of the Kaaba. So during the time of Ibrahim alayhi salam, him and his son Ismail, they begin to build the Kaaba back up. So Ibn Abbas said, لما فرغ إبراهيم من بناء البيت. That when Ibrahim was finished building the Kaaba, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed to him, أذن في الناس بالحج. Ibrahim proclaimed to the people the obligation of Hajj. And Ibrahim said to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ya Rabbi, ma yuballighu sawti. Oh Allah, what will carry my voice to the ends of the world? Like, how is my one little voice going to be able to convey this message to everybody around the world? How? You're giving me a task to do that is beyond my human capacity. We want to take a very important concept from this. Very important concept from this. So Ibrahim said to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَمَا يُبَلِّغُ صَوْتِي يَا رَبِّي. Oh my Lord, what is going to carry my voice so that everybody could hear me make this proclamation? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, أَذِّن وَعَلَيَّ الْبَلَاغِ. Call Ibrahim, and it is my responsibility to make sure that everyone hears it. My responsibility to make sure that everyone hears it. Showing you that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not task you with something except that He assists you in shouldering that responsibility. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded us to make salat. And salat can be difficult. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَاسْتَعِينُوا بِالصَّبْرِ وَالصَّلَاةِ إِنَّهَا لَكَبِيرَةٌ إِلَّا عَلَى الْخَاشِئِينَ. That you seek assistance with prayer, seek assistance in life, right? With patience and prayer. Indeed, it is difficult except for those who fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, although He commanded us to make salat, He has made the salat easy. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded us to live life, and life at times can be easy, and He gave us the salat as a means of making our life easy. وَاسْتَعِينُوا الْإِسْتِعَانَ عَلَى الصَّلَاةِ, to seek aid and assistance in prayer. So although Allah gave us life, and there's some challenges and some difficulties in life, He gave us the salat as a means to help us through that. And then in salat itself, salat might be difficult for some of us, and then Allah gave us in the salat what would be easy for us. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't task us with something except that He gives us, or He aids us and assists us with the thing that will make it easy. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent Musa and Harun to Fir'aun, اذهبا إلى فرعون إنه طغى, go to Fir'aun, for indeed he has transgressed all boundaries. And Musa and Harun, they said, ربنا نخاف, that we fear, Fir'aun. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, اذهبا إني معكما أسمع وأرى, go, I'm with you, I hear you and I see you. I hear you, I see your situation. Allah doesn't task us with something except that He aids us and assists us in doing it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, وَمَا رَمَيْتَ إِذْ رَمَيْتَ وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ رَمَى, that you didn't throw when you threw, but it was Allah who threw. Meaning, during one of the battles, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam picked up a handful of dirt and he threw it into the faces of the non-Muslims in front of him. Just one handful of dirt. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, capturing this incident, He said, and you didn't throw when you threw, but it was Allah who threw. Meaning, you are responsible for the action, Allah is responsible for the outcome. فَاصْدَعْ بِمَا تُؤْمَرُ, do as you have been commanded, as Allah told the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. فَاصْدَعْ بِمَا تُؤْمَرُ وَأَعْرِضْ عَنِ الْمُشْرِكِينَ, do as you have been commanded to do, and Allah will take care of everything else. So Allah told Ibrahim, أَذِّن وَعَلَيَّ بَلَاغ, call and I'll make sure that everyone hears it. Make the call and I'll make sure that everyone hears it. And this is an important point, subhanAllah, for those of us who are involved in da'wah, right? Those of us who are involved in conveying the message of Islam to the world, or to the Muslims, or to whatever population you choose to concentrate on. Sometimes as a da'i, you tend to feel like maybe people are not getting the message. Maybe you need to do more. Maybe you need to exert yourself more, right? Because you feel like maybe your message isn't being received. Maybe, you need Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's assistance in helping you to convey that. Make the call, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is responsible for making sure people hear it. Wallahu a'lamu haythu yaj'alu risalata, Allah is more knowledgeable about where to place His message. All you have to do is the work. Let Allah worry about the outcome. You didn't throw when you threw, but it was Allah who threw. Meaning the tawfiq, the success that came out of your one handful of dirt, that one throw, the success of that was with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not with you. You did the work, the success was with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the same concept, Allah told Ibrahim, أَذِّن وَعَلَيَّ الْبَلَاغ, call and I will make sure everyone hears your call. I will make sure everyone hear your call. Here's your call. And Abdullah bin Abbas, he said, فَنَادَى إِبْرَاهِيمُ أَيُّهَا النَّاسِ كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الْحَجِّ إِلَى الْبَيْتِ الْعَتِيقِ فَحُجُّوا. وفي رواية قال لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك. فسمعه ما بين السماء والأرض أفلا ترى الناس يجيئون من أقصى الأرض يلبون. Abdullah bin Abbas radiallahu anhuma, he said, so when Ibrahim made the call, he called for people to come make Hajj. And one narration is said that he said, oh man, oh people, indeed Hajj has been prescribed upon you to the ancient house, meaning the Kaaba, so make Hajj. And another narration, Ibrahim's call was the same call that we hear reverberating today amongst the Muslims who are on Hajj and who are not on Hajj. We hear it on the TV, we hear it on YouTube, we hear it everywhere else. Labbaik Allahumma labbaik, labbaik la sharika laka labbaik, inna alhamda wa ni'mata laka wal mulk la sharika lak. This was the call of Ibrahim, and we hear this call today. We hear this call being passed down generation after generation after generation from the time of Prophet Abraham all the way up until our time today, 2016. We hear those words being echoed by Muslims generation after generation. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, "Adhan wa Ali al-balagh." You call and I'll make sure everyone hears. Abdullah bin Abbas, he says, so when Ibrahim said this comment, "Labayk Allahumma labayk, labayk la sharika laka labayk, innal hamda wa ni'mata laka wal mulk, la sharika lak." When Ibrahim made this call, everything in the heavens and the earth heard Ibrahim. He said, don't you see people coming from every corner of the earth to perform Hajj making the same statement? Don't you see? People coming from America, people coming from the UK, people coming from Australia, people coming from China, people coming from Asia, people coming from India, people coming from all over the world to make Hajj, making the same statement, Labayk Allahumma labayk, labayk la sharika laka labayk, innal hamda wa ni'mata laka wal mulk, la sharika lak. Don't you hear people making that comment today? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told Ibrahim hundreds and thousands of years ago, "Adhin wa aliya balagh." Call the people to come make Hajj and I'll make sure they hear it. Abdullah bin Abbas said everything in the heavens and the earth heard Ibrahim's voice. Don't you see people coming from every corner of the world today to perform Hajj wa yulaboon, making the same, repeating the same comment that Ibrahim made when he initially told everybody to make Hajj? There's a lesson for you. There is a lesson in Hajj for you, subhanAllah. So I want to concentrate for the duration of our lecture here. I want to concentrate on the statement of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the ayah where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لِيَشْهَدُوا مَنَافِعَ لَهُمْ, so that they can come and bear witness to the benefits that is in Hajj for them. I want to concentrate only on that statement. What is the benefit in Hajj? What is the benefit in Hajj? What is the benefit? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَأَذِّن فِي النَّاسِ بِالْحَجِّ يَأْتُوكَ رِجَالًا وَعَلَى كُلِّ ضَامِرٍ يَأْتِينَ مِنْ كُلِّ فَجٍّ عَمِيقٍ لِيَشْهَدُوا مَنَافِعَ لَهُمْ. And proclaim the obligation of Hajj upon mankind, and they will come to you on feet, they will come to you on every riding animal from every corner of the world, لِيَشْهَدُوا مَنَافِعَ لَهُمْ, to bear witness to the benefits that is in it for them. So I want to talk about some of the benefits that are in Hajj. 6 in specific, as it was mentioned by many of the scholars. 6 of the benefits, and that's not 6 benefits, but all of the benefits that are in Hajj will find their origin in one of these 6 foundations. All right? So in Hajj, there's a benefit for us, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, لِيَشْهَدُوا مَنَافِعَ لَهُمْ, so they will witness the benefit that is in it for them. Showing you that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not benefit from your Hajj. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not benefit if you make Hajj or if you don't make Hajj. مَنِ اهْتَدَى فَإِنَّمَا يَهْتَدِي لِنَفْسِهِ, that whoever finds guidance, he found the guidance for the benefit of his own soul. وَمَنْ ضَلَّ فَإِنَّمَا يُضِلُّ عَلَيْهَا, and if a person is led astray or finds himself astray, then he is astray to the detriment of his own soul. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not benefit from our acts of worship. That is for us. لِيَشْهَدُوا مَنَافِعَ لَهُمْ, so they can bear witness to the benefit that is in it for them. Allah doesn't benefit from your ibadah. Many of us think that if we worship Allah, we're doing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala some type of favor. You're not doing God a favor because you choose to worship Him. And you're not doing Him any disservice if you decide not to worship Him. You do a benefit to your own soul or a disservice to your own soul. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't benefit anything. Allah mentions in the Quran that when you slaughter, the blood does not go back to Allah, nor does the meat. لا ينال الله دماءهم ولا لحومها ولا دماؤها ولكن يناله التقوى منكم. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that when you slaughter your animal, The meat and the blood does not go back to Allah. Allah does not benefit from that. The only thing that Allah is concerned with is the taqwa of your heart when you do it. The condition of your heart, the God consciousness of your heart when you do it. لا ينال الله لحومها ولا دماؤها ولكن يناله التقوى منكم. Allah doesn't care about the meat or the blood from the animal that you sacrifice. وَلَكِنْ يَنَالُهُ تَقْوَى مِنْكُمْ. The only thing that He is concerned with is the condition of your heart, your taqwa. Your taqwa. So while we are engaged in acts of worship, never be self-deluded into thinking that you are doing, this self-aggrandizing mentality that you believe that you are doing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or doing His religion some type of favor because you decided to I'm going to make salat today. Inshallah, I'm going to pray today. Inshallah, I'm going to go to the masjid today. You're not doing Allah any favor because you decide to go to the masjid. The masjid doesn't benefit from your presence either. The masjid is still going to stand whether you're there or you're not there. The benefit is going to continue to come to the Muslims, to the believers, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wills, whether your presence is there or it's not there. Inshallah, I might fast tomorrow. Like you doing somebody a favor. If you decide not to fast today is the day of Arafah, right? If you decide not to fast today, guess who loses? Guess who loses? Allah doesn't lose anything. Allah has angels, even if no one on earth worshipped Him. Allah has angels that enter into Bayt al-Ma'mur. 70,000 angels. Not a space is available except that an angel is prostrating, making ruku', in sujood, or in some form of worship. These 70,000 angels enter into Bayt al-Ma'mur. They leave and never come back. And 70,000 comes in again. Allah, you think Allah is in need of your worship? You think Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala really needs your worship? Flawed worship, because even the best from amongst us still has, flaws in his worship. Hence the fact Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala obligated or, mandated that we make sunnah prayers, sunnah fasting, to make up for the glitches, to make up for the mistakes and the flaws that we have in our obligatory acts of worship, because as human beings, we have a proneness to mistakes. So the performance in Hajj there is benefit for us, not for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Wallahu ghaniyyun 'anil alamin, that Allah is not in need of His creation. Wallahu ghaniyyun 'ankum, that Allah is not in need of you. The Prophet ﷺ mentioned in an authentic hadith that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, this hadith al-Qudsi, Ya ibadi, innakum lam tablughu durri fatadurruni, wa lan tablughu naf'i fatanfa'uni. يا عبادي لو أن أولكم وآخركم وإنسكم وجنكم كانوا على أتقى قلب رجل منكم واحد منكم ما زال ذلك في ملك شيئا. That the Prophet ﷺ said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, O my servants, يا عبادي إنكم لن تبلغوا دري فتدروني. You will never reach a point where you can bring me some harm. You can never harm Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You will never, I don't care how great your harm becomes to mankind, you will never be able to harm God. I don't care how great you are of a detriment and of a liability to mankind, your detriment will never be able to harm God. Ya ibadi, إنكم لن تبلغوا ضري فتضروني. You will never be able to reach a level, no matter how high your degree of harm is towards the creation, you will never be able to harm God. He said, وَلَن تَبْلُغُوا نَفْعِي فَتَنْفَعُونِي. And no matter how great of a benefit you are to mankind, your benefit does nothing for God. You will never be able to benefit Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with anything. You can't harm Him no matter how great your harm is to mankind, and you can't benefit Him no matter how great your benefit is to mankind. Some people begin to look at, because they give a lot of charity, they give a lot of this, they're wealthy, they start to think that their benefit to mankind is somehow going to be, an extension of their benefit to God. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you will never be able to benefit Him. He said, Ya ibadi, O my servants, لو أن أولكم وآخركم وإنسكم وجنكم. O my servants, if the first of you that I created, all the way to the last of you that I created, from amongst the jinn and from amongst mankind, كانوا على أتقى قلب رجل واحد منكم, that if all of you were to be united in the heart of the most righteous man from amongst you, ما زاد ذلك في ملك شيئا, that would not increase my dominion one iota. That would not decrease Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's dominion one iota. One, not an inkling. Even if the most righteous of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's creation could be gathered in the heart of the most pious man from amongst us, it still would not benefit Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala anything. So when Allah says in the ayah, لِيَشْهَدُوا مَنَافِعَ لَكُمْ, لِيَشْهَدُوا مَنَافِعَ لَهُم, so they may bear witness to the benefit that is in it for them, Allah is making it very clear that if you perform Hajj, you are doing that for your own self. The Prophet ﷺ said, مَنْ وَجَدَ خَيْرًا فَلْيَحْمَدِ اللَّهِ وَمَنْ وَجَدَ غَيْرَ ذَلِكَ فَلَا يَلُومَنَّ إِلَّا نَفْسَهُ, that whoever finds good, then let him praise Allah, and whoever finds other than that, then let him blame nobody but himself. The good that comes to you is from Allah for your benefit, and the harm that comes to you is from your own hands to your own detriment. So Hajj is a benefit for us. We are not doing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala any favors. So now let's talk about the manafi', the benefits of Hajj, the 6 benefits of Hajj. The scholars, they say, أَمَّا مَنَافِعُ الْآخِرَةِ فَرِضْوَانَ اللَّهِ جَلَّ وَعَلَى. As for the benefit that is in the hereafter for performing Hajj, obviously it is to earn the good graces of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. To earn the good graces of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. To earn the good pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that Allah be pleased with you. That you sacrifice your time, your energy, your wealth, you abandon your children, you abandon your family, all to go and perform Hajj to the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Obviously, we're doing that for no other reason other than we want to earn the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We want Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be pleased with us. And as for the benefit in the dunya, the scholars say that it goes back to 6 things. Al-manafi' al-imaniyah, benefit for your faith. Al-manafi' al-tarbawiyah, a benefit for your akhlaq, for your character. Al-manafi' al-ijtima'iyah, a benefit for your community. Al-manafi' al-iqtisadiyah, an economic benefit. Al-manafi' al-idariyah, administrative benefit. We're going to learn some administrative tools on Hajj. وَالْمَنَافِعَ السِّيَاسِيَّةِ, and we're going to learn how to be diplomatic, and we're going to learn how to, we're going to learn diplomacy. 6 benefits. So everything that we learn on Hajj will go back to these 6 things. So let's start with the first one. Al-ijtima'iyya. Al-manafi' al-ijtima'iyya. Communal benefit. How does the Muslims benefit as a community from performing Hajj? How? الحجاج يجتمعون على اختلاف بينهم في اللغة والجنس واللون والوطن في مكان واحد في زمان واحد في مظهر واحد يسألون ربا واحدا يتجهون إلى قبلة واحدة ولغاية واحدة ألا وهي مغفرة الله جل وعلا. The scholars, they say that the communal benefit that is in Hajj, so important, man, subhanallah al-azim. So important that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, لِيَشْهَدُوا مَنَافِعَ لَهُمْ, so that they can bear witness to the benefits that is in it for them. The first benefit we're saying is al-manafi' al-ijtima'iyya, a communal benefit that comes out of Hajj. The scholars, they say that the hujjaj, which is the plural of Hajj, the person that is performing Hajj, the pilgrim, he is known in Arabic as al-Hajj, right? Which is where Malcolm X, al-Hajj, Malik Shabazz, right? And people have those names, al-Hajj, Fulan, Fulan, Haji, Fulan, Fulan. So the person that is performing Hajj is called al-Hajj, right? And the plural of al-Hajj is hujjaj. Hujjaj, meaning pilgrims. He said the Hujjaj يجتمعون على اختلاف بينهم, that people gather together to perform Hajj, right? And there's so many differences amongst them. Differences regarding their languages, differences regarding their genders, differences regarding the colors of their skin, differences regarding their residencies and where they're originally from, differences, all of these different differences, right? And with all of those differences, right, there might be hundreds of languages. Out of the 3-4 million people on Hajj, there might be just as many languages of all of the people that are on Hajj, right? People on Hajj come from different parts of the world. You might meet people from countries that you've never even heard of. You run into people, the person speaks English, you're like, wow, you speak English, where are you from? Oh, I'm from Maldives. Maldives? Where the heck? Yo, I don't even know where that is. I'm from Sri Lanka. You know, these people speak English, like me and you, Americans. And you're saying to yourself, Maldives, Wallah al-Azim, I never even knew Maldives existed until I went to the Islamic University, and there was a young brother there it was a couple of brothers there from Maldives, and, you know, they look like Indians. They look like Indians, right? Could pass for Dominicans, actually. And I'm listening to the brother talk English, and I'm like, oh, you must be from India or Pakistan. He said, no, I'm from Maldives. I said, what? Maldives. I never even knew it existed. Countries that you never even knew. I mean, some of us, we grew up in the inner cities. All we know, I mean, many of us don't even know the 54 states of America. The 52 and the other 2 added to it. Like, many of us don't even know all of the states in America, let alone another country that speaks the same language that you speak. So people are going to gather on Hajj, different languages, genders. You have male and female. You're going to have different colors of skin, different shades, different textures of skin. People are going to be from different places. With all of those differences, they're gathered fi makanin wahidin. They're all united in one place. Fi zamanin wahidin. All united at the same time. Everybody is on Arafah right now. Right? Everybody. Arafah is not tomorrow. Arafah is today. Right? For those of us who, you know, sighting the moon, doing our own moon sighting, okay, what do you do about the day of Arafah? When Saudi Arabia says today is the day of Arafah, right? Do you think that people are going to say, I'm going with the local sighting, tomorrow's Arafah, right? And this is the confusing thing about brothers and sisters who follow the local sighting. And we need to have a better structure with that, man. We need to be, you know, we need to be more organized as it relates to that. We've caused friction and damage to many Muslim families in America and other places because of this local sighting. And just because something is permissible doesn't mean that we have to do it. There were many times the Prophet even performing Hajj, the Prophet ﷺ made tamattu', but his companions did not make tamattu'. And he said that if I could go back, he said, I'm forgetting the comment, but basically he's saying that if I'd have known then what I've known now, I would have slaughtered my animal and I would have made the same Hajj that my companions made. Right? So even though sometimes the Prophet ﷺ told Aisha, like, that if your people, meaning Quraysh, were not new Muslims, you know what I mean? Lola hadithu qawmiki bil Islam la hadamtu al-Ka'ba wa banaytuha ala qawa'id Ibrahim. That if it wasn't for the fact that your people, meaning Quraysh, the Meccans, if it wasn't for the fact that they were new Muslims, I would tear the Kaaba down and I would build it back up on the foundation that was built by Ibrahim. But he left it. He didn't touch the Kaaba because he knew that Quraysh were new Muslims. There's no way that they would be able to handle the Prophet ﷺ removing one brick from the Kaaba. That would have started a tribal war that would not have ended until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala a'lam. So he left it. Seeing as though people were not ready for that. Even though that was something he desired, that was an ambition of his, that was a desire of his, that had, he had it in his hands, he would have broke the Kaaba down and built it back up the way that Ibrahim built it, but he left it, showing you that not everything that is permissible, it is, it's good for you to do it. Just because following the local sighting is at our beck, it is something that we have as aqalliyat al-muslimin fil gharb, as we have as Muslim minorities living in the West, we have that at our beck to follow the local sighting. But when following the local sighting is going to cause confusion and rip apart Muslim families, do you think that following the local sighting is better than following the international sighting, whereby all of the communities, all of the families could be united upon one ru'ya, one sighting? Which one is best? So it's a lack of fiqh fi deen, honestly. It's a lack of understanding the principles of our religion. A lack of understanding of the principles in our religion. Just because something is permissible Islamically doesn't mean that we absolutely have to do it. And I mean, the same could hold true with polygyny. You have many brothers who, put the shifting gear to go full throttle, going with polygyny. It's my right, it's my haq. But you're doing that at the expense of what? How many families have we destroyed because we want to practice polygyny? Start off with marrying a woman who actually doesn't mind being in polygyny. Stop marrying women and telling them, nah, I'm not. I would never marry another woman, and you sweet talking a woman, and then lo and behold, 2-3 years later, somebody get in your ear, and now you're ready to go, after another wife, but at the expense of a family that you've already built. At the expense of families that you've already built. 3, 4, 5 years, you got 4 or 5 children, and then now you decide to go into polygyny, destroying everything, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, لا تكونوا كالتي نقضت غزلها بعد أن I'm forgetting the ayah. But don't be like don't be like the woman who spun her yarn and made it real tight, and then you unraveled it with your own hands. You unraveled it with your own hands. لا تكونوا كالتي نقضت غزلها من بعد قوة أنكاثا. Don't be like the woman who spun her yarn, made it very tight, and then begin to take it loose with your own hands. You built a family, foundation that you built from the very beginning on love and compassion, children, longevity. And then you unravel all of that in pursuit of polygyny. When you could have just said from the very beginning, when you first sat down with the woman, I'm a polygynous man. I don't see myself with, one woman. This is something that I want to make clear from the very beginning. So if you, in fact, marry me, then there is a chance that in some time in our future that we may, in fact, be in polygyny. How do you feel about that? If the woman says, nah, I can't do polygyny, khalas, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you with someone that will make you happy, that will keep you in a monogamous relationship, and you'll find happiness with that. That's not going to work for me. There's somebody for everybody, but we want our cake and eat it too, but at the expense of what? I hate it kind of segue into that, but, I can't drive that point home enough, man. If you want to be in polygyny, then don't settle for anything less than that. There's women out there that would welcome that with open arms, man. They will welcome that with open arms. They'll welcome that situation. If it's the right situation, they'll welcome it with open arms. But, we want this particular woman, although we know this particular woman doesn't want to be in polygyny, but we're going to have our cake and eat it too. At the expense of what? So, these Hujjaj, these people, they're gathered with the different languages, different skin colors from different places of different parts of the world. Fi makanin wahida, in one place. Fi zamanin wahidan, at one time. Fi madharin wahida, all wearing the same clothing. For the men, obviously. Yas'aluna rabbin wahidan, they're all asking, calling on one, the same God. Yattajihuna ila qiblatin wahida, all facing the same direction. Lighayatin wahida, all for the same purpose, wanting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's forgiveness. If that does not teach us the deeper meaning of brotherhood and sisterhood in Islam, I don't know what else will. All of the things that we put so much emphasis on, my squad, my clique, they from my block, they from, where I'm from, and, we have a familiarity with us. All of those things mean absolutely nothing in the grand scheme of the ukhuwah of Islam, the brotherhood and the sisterhood of Islam. I said, these are things that people consider important. Where they're from, their language, the skin color, all of these things are important to people. But then when we look at that in light of being at the same place, at Mecca, at the Kaaba, at the same time during the sacred month of Hajj, dressed in the same clothing, in the ihram, the rida, and the izar, asking, calling on the same Lord. You're not calling on the Lord of the Salafis, and you calling on the Lord of the Khalafis, and you calling on the Lord of the Shiites, and you calling on the Lord of the Sufis, and you calling on the Lord of the Fulan and all these other different sects. Y'all all calling on one God, the same God. But then soon as you put your hands down from making dua, we go back to our own individual little cliques and, groups and sects and things like this. Subhanallah. Subhanallah al-Azim. You're all calling on the same God. So, Salafi, this person is a stray, this person is a deviant. When I raise my hands and I call on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, am I not calling on the same God that you're calling on? Am I not calling the same God that you're calling? Or I'm calling on a different God, right? Am I not facing the same direction that you face when you pray? When you walk into a masjid, you look for where the imam's minbar is, and then you face that direction. That's the direction of the qibla. Don't we face the same direction when we pray? Don't we call on the same God when we make dua? Aren't we all asking for the same thing? Asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for his forgiveness? Or are you asking for something else? When I recite Al-Fatiha, I'm a deviant, I'm a stray. When I recite Al-Fatiha, I say, Ihdina Sirat al-Mustaqim. Guide us to the straight path. Am I not asking for the same guidance that you're asking for? Am I not asking for the same guidance that you're asking for? But then when we make the taslim, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, I'm more guided than you are. You're astray, I'm guided, meaning Allah answered my dua, Allah guided me aright, and he led you astray for whatever reason. MashaAllah, tabarakallah. If performing Hajj does not teach you a deeper meaning of brotherhood, then this is one of the manafiyat that you obviously missed out on. One of the benefits of Hajj that you actually missed out on. I know brothers who, made Hajj together 10, 15, 20 years ago, and they are still friends today because of that one experience of making Hajj. Your brothers and your sisters on Hajj, you never forget them, man. You never forget them. You have a bond, you have a connection with that person on Hajj that you probably will never have with anybody else. So this is one of the benefits that we get from Hajj, al-manafi al-ijtima'iyya. Learning, the communal benefit of brotherhood. You're surrounded by 3, 4, 5 million people who are all facing the same direction, calling on the same God, read the same Quran that you read, the same book, all for the same reason. Is there anybody that is on Hajj that is not on Hajj right now for forgiveness? Is there anybody who saved up, managed to save $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 to travel from America to go to make Hajj in Mecca for any other reason other than asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for his forgiveness? Is there anybody there that's there for any other reason other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's maghfirah? Wallahi, we all here for the same reason, man. Is there anybody practicing Islam for any other reason other than guidance? Having some stability in our lives, some spiritual stability in our lives. And that differs from person to person depending on where your level of faith is. But we have to get out of this mentality of, man, this person's astray, this person is this person is that. Even if a person is astray, even if a person is not upon right guidance, most of the time that's not because that's what he chose. Sometimes it's because the way that he was brought into Islam. Sometimes it was his orientation to Islam. Sometimes people come into the religion different ways. That how you come in doesn't mean that's how you're going to turn out. And that applies to people who consider themselves Salafi as well, because there are many people who came in Salafi, but today are not even Salafi. Today ain't nothing. You ain't Salafi, you ain't Khalafi, you ain't Sufi, you ain't Shia, you ain't nothing. How you come in doesn't determine how you go out. We got to leave this mentality. We got to get out of this mode of thinking, man. Subhanallah al-Azim. Number 2, from the benefits that we get from Hajj al-Idariyah, is we're going to learn some administrative tools on Hajj. Many of us, we don't know how to organize our own lives, let alone organize the lives of other people. And some of us are parents, man. You parents responsible for other people, organizing other people's lives to make sure that they're on a path to success. And many of us, our lives are discombobulated. Many of us, we don't have a clue whether we're coming or going. We wake up every day tweaking it. And in Islam, it's not about tweaking it. Everything is designed for us, to function in a certain capacity. But you're going to learn on Hajj al-Manafi al-Idariyah, you're going to learn organizational skills on Hajj. How? التعود على النظام والانضباط فللحج مواقيت المكانية والزمانية فيجب التقيد بها وعدم الإخلال بها وله أركان وواجبات يجب الإتيان بها كما هي بلا زيادة ولا نقصان. The scholars, they say that on Hajj you are going to condition yourself to follow a certain structure. Right? You're going to follow a certain structure while you're on Hajj. And you're going to be on time with certain acts of worship while you're on Hajj. For on Hajj, there's what is known as mawaqit, which is the plural of miqat. And miqat can be makaniya wa zamaniya. Miqat, or specific places that we know the miqat, meaning places that you have to assume your ihram before you pass that place on your way to Hajj. So for those Hujjaj that left Medina yesterday on their way to Mecca, right, they had to pass the miqat of Ahlul Medina, which is known as Dhu Hulayfa. Dhu Hulayfa, that is the miqat of Ahlul Medina. And anybody that is behind that. So if you're coming from Riyadh, coming down through Medina, if you're coming that way, then you would still have to pass that miqat on your way to Mecca. So you would assume your ihram before you got to Dhul Hulayfa and then begin the talbiyah from that point forward all the way until you see the Kaaba with your own eyes. You do not stop making the talbiyah, labbaik Allahumma labbaik. لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك. You keep making the talbiyah all the way until you see the Kaaba with your own eyes. Tawaf al-Qudum, meaning the tawaf that you make when you first enter into Mecca. You go straight to the Kaaba and you make your tawaf. And that is, of course, if you are performing tamattu'. If you're performing tamattu', you go straight to the Kaaba, you perform your tawaf, you make your 2 rak'ah behind the maqam of Ibrahim, you go make your first sa'i, and that's your tawaf al-Qudum. That's the tawaf when you first enter into Mecca. And then there's the tawaf al-Ifada, and then there's tawaf al-Wada'. So there's 3 tawafs that you make, and this is, of course, for those who are performing tamattu'. Alright? So, there is miqat for places and miqat for time, meaning certain things you have to do at certain times, and if it is not done within that time frame, then you have to slaughter, you have to make an expiation for that because it was supposed to be done at that particular time, right? So we have the miqat of people that are coming from the area of Medina. You have the miqat of the people that are coming from the area of Sham, Syria, Palestine, Iraq. They're coming from that area. Their miqat is what is known as Yalamlam. The miqat of Yalamlam. So they pass by this particular place and they are to assume their ihram or already be in their ihram and make their niyyah from that point, to make their intention from that point forward and begin making the talbiyah all the way until they get to the Kaaba. And then you have the people that are coming from the Gulf. You got people coming from the area of Qatar, and the area of UAE, the area of United Arab Emirates. And their miqat is Qaran al-Manazil. Qaran al-Manazil. Coming from here, if they're driving, they're going to cross the area of Ta'if all the way into Mecca. They're going to cross a place that is designated for them to make their niyyah at that particular place, which is known as Qaran al-Manazil. All right, so these are the miqat. All right, miqat al-Makaniyah. These are the places that are specified for the people that are making Hajj. Now there are miqat al-Zamaniyah, time, meaning there's certain times that people have to be at certain places at certain time. Right now, everybody is on Arafah. When the sun starts to set, everybody will pack up their things and be at Muzdalifah for Maghrib. They will be at Muzdalifah for Salatul Maghrib. It usually doesn't happen like that because it's such a large crowd and buses and trying to get out of there. People usually don't get to Muzdalifah until around Isha. But they should start leaving at the time of sunset on their way to Muzdalifah, Mash'ar al-Haram, as Allah mentions in the Quran, and they are going to spend the night at Muzdalifah. They're going to get their 21 pebbles from Muzdalifah, because if you don't get it from Muzdalifah, you're probably not going to find it anywhere else. You're going to be hard pressed to find it anywhere else. So if they're on Muzdalifah, they're going to spend the night there. They're going to pray Maghrib. They're going to pray Isha, combine and shorten, and they are going to get ready for tomorrow morning, which is the big day. For them is Yom al-Nahar, it is the day of slaughtering. For those who are not on Hajj, it is the day of the Eid, Eid al-Adha, right? And that's a big day for those that are on Hajj. And on that day, there's certain things that have to be done at certain times, and if it's not done at that time, so if, let's say, for example, a person wanted to perform Hajj right now, right? Let's say you wanted to leave out of your house and you wanted to go perform Hajj right now. You could do that if you got to Mount Arafah before sunset. The Prophet ﷺ said, Al-Hajju Arafah. That Hajj is Arafah, meaning if you catch Arafah, just like if you catch the Imam in Ruku', you caught the Rak'ah. If you catch Arafah, then you've caught Hajj. So even if I left out right now, even though the Hajjis have been in Mecca since yesterday, if I left out right now and I got to Arafah before sunset, I've caught the Hajj. Because Hajj, the essence of Hajj is Arafah. If you miss Arafah, let's say I want to perform Hajj right now, I'm mustajil, I'm hasty, and I grab my bags and I go. And I don't get to Arafah until it's time for Isha. I missed it. Even if I continue to go through with the rest of the rites of Hajj, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will definitely reward you for any good that you've done, but you have not performed Hajj. Because Arafah you should be on Arafah at this particular time. So Hajj, being on Hajj is going to teach you organizational structure. It's going to teach you to be structured. It's going to teach you the importance of organization. The Salah should already teach us organization. Our whole day revolves around these 5 prayers. We stop to pray at this time. We stop to pray at that time. We are aware, even if those who don't wear a watch, your body starts to talk to you to tell you it's time for Salah. Wallah al-Azim. When you have conditioned yourself to pray on time all the time, your body will automatically tell you when it's time for prayer. You will know that there's been a long gap and I have not prayed. I feel uncomfortable. It's probably time for Salat. Right? Like a baby that gets hungry. They don't know how to tell you they're hungry, but their way of communicating to you that they're hungry is to cry. Right? That's their way of telling you, I'm hungry. My body is telling me that we need food, so I need to in turn cry. Likewise, your body does the same thing when you condition it to pray. When you condition your body to pray, you haven't prayed for a long gap of time, between Dhuhr and Asr, and your body starts to feel uncomfortable, like the connection between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has been somehow broken. So, كذلك إنجاز الأعمال أولا بأول وعدم تأخيرها عملا بالقاعدة لا تؤخر عمل اليوم إلى الغد ففي كل يوم من أيام الحج يعملون أعمالا تخالف أو تختلف عن اليوم الذي قبله. So on Hajj, you are not just going to perform your actions whenever you want. There's a certain time, there's a certain place, there's a certain method in which those actions should be performed. That teaches us idariyah, that teaches us administrative tools of organization, being organized, doing things at a certain time, at a certain place, in a certain manner. That is our life as adults. That is our life, and that is what you will learn on Hajj. You're going to not only that, but you're going to perform your deeds one after another. There are certain deeds you're going to do today that you're not going to do tomorrow. And you have to be aware of these things when you are on Hajj. As the scholars, they say, using a principle, a qaida, لا تؤخر عمل اليوم إلى الغد. Do not put off tomorrow what you can do today. They even have that phrase in Arabic. لا تؤخر العمل اليوم إلى الغد. Do not put off tomorrow what you can do today. And in Arabic it says, do not put off your deeds for today, tomorrow. All right, if you had to translate it loosely. But we know in our American idiom, never put off tomorrow what you can do today. Number 3, from the benefits that you're going to get on Hajj, and I'll make this the last one, and I'll continue the rest later on today, inshallah ta'ala. Maybe around after Asr, inshallah, your time. Which will be around after Isha, sometime my time. Inshallah ta'ala, I'll open up the Periscope and I'll continue with this lecture, bi'idhnillah ta'ala. Number 3, you're going to learn siyasa, manafi' siyasiyya. You're going to learn how to be diplomatic. You're going to learn how to be diplomatic. And how much are we in need of this quality? Learning how to be diplomatic. All right? التعامل مع الخلاف والمخالف. Learning how to deal with khilaf, differing, people who do things differently or see things different than you, and the person who does it. Al-mukhalif wal-mukhalafa. Al-khilaf wal-mukhalafa. And this is what our religion teaches us. The vast majority of the problems that we have as a Muslim ummah, as an ummah, stems from these two issues. Not knowing how to deal with khilaf, not knowing how to deal with differences, wal-mukhalif, and those who do things different than we do. I would say 75 to 80% of our issues as a ummah stem from these two issues. Number 1, learning how to deal with khilaf, learning how to deal with opposition, learning how to deal with people doing things different than the way that you do them. And number 2, learning how to deal with the person who differs with you. Al-mukhalif. The action and the person doing the action. Very important. He said, إذا تأملنا مناسك الحج نجد أن لها أشكال مختلفة. When we look at Hajj, the performance of Hajj, we see that there are different ways to perform Hajj. Subhanallah. Did you know that there were 3 different ways to perform Hajj? Subhanallah. It's the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in that everything is not always just one way, right? Things are different. There are 3 different ways to make Hajj. What are those 3 ways? There's what is known as al-mufrid or ifrad, person who just goes and performs Hajj without any additional, he doesn't even do the slaughtering, nothing, just performs the Hajj. The mufrad. Then there is al-qiran, muqtarin, the person who brings his animal for slaughtering. However, he does not do the umrah ahead of time, like the 3rd, which is the tamattu'. The tamattu' is you come, you perform umrah, you take off your ihram and everything, and then on the 8th day you put the ihram back on, and then you head to Mecca. All right, that is what is known as tamattu'. So the qaran or the muqtarin is the one who puts on as soon as his ihram, and he never takes it off. He never takes it off. He performs the umrah and he never takes it off, and then he goes straight into the Yom Tarwiyah, the 8th day, and begin to head to Mina. And so he never takes his ihram off. As for the tamattu', they get there early, they perform umrah, right? They perform umrah along with their Hajj. They perform umrah first, they take off, they shave, they do the tawaf, they do the 2 rak'ahs, they do the sa'i, and then they lower the hair, and then they take off the ihram. And then on the 8th day, Yom al-Tarwiyah, they put the ihram back on, and they head to Mecca to perform Hajj. That is the tamattu', and that is without a doubt the best way to perform the Hajj. All right, the Prophet ﷺ performed the tamattu', and his companions were performing al-Iqran, and he said that if I'd have known then what I know now, I would have slaughtered my animal, and I would have shaved my head, and I'd have went and I would have performed the same Hajj along with the rest of my companions, because he wanted to make sure that he was consistent with his companions. Now he's doing one thing, they're doing something totally different, even though we benefited from that. All right, because now we know that the best way to perform Hajj is tamattu', and we know that the Prophet ﷺ performed tamattu'. All right, so it's very important. So we're going to learn how to deal with people who differ with us. We're going to learn how to deal with people who we're going to learn how to deal with differences. Period. Just on Hajj alone, there's 3-4 million people there, and everybody is performing a different type of Hajj. Everybody is performing. Not everybody on Hajj is performing tamattu'. Not everybody is performing ifrad. Not everybody is performing iqran. They're different. Everybody on Hajj, if it's 3-4 million people, every one of them is performing a different type of Hajj. That shows you that our religion accepts differences. SubhanAllah. That alone shows us that our religion accepts differences. Just from this lesson on Hajj shows us to accept. You might be performing Hajj. You come, you perform your Umrah, you lower your hair, and you take off your Ihram. Another person might say, SubhanAllah, why are you lowering your head and taking off your Ihram? Because he's performing he's muqtarin, because he doesn't take off his Ihram. He keeps it on the whole time. You take off your Ihram, put on regular clothes, go do shopping, do it until the 8th day, and then you put your Ihram back on. I remember, Abu Muslima, SubhanAllah, was telling us a story some years ago that, he was taking a group and they were performing Hajj and they were performing tamattu', right? Following the Sunnah, trying to do what is afdal, trying to do what is best, right? Doing the best. And that's not to say that if a person is muqtarin or he's mufrad, that he gets any less of a reward. But we're always striving to do what is best, right? He says, so after he performed the Umrah first, he lowered his head. And he said the guy was telling him, debating with him, like, yo, you're supposed to shave your head, not lower your head. And he said he studied telling him, we're performing tamattu'. And the guy didn't know that there were different ways to perform Hajj, SubhanAllah. And this is just a prime example. Even on Hajj, because of our ignorance, we'll steady, trying to superimpose our views on somebody on Hajj simply because of our ignorance. Not realizing that there are different ways to perform Hajj. All of them warid fil hadith as-sahih. All of them are recorded in authentic narrations, authentic texts. All of them. Just go read a chapter of Hajj from any fiqh book. Go read the chapter of Hajj from any fiqh book. But this alone, Hajj alone, shows us that our religion is tolerant of ikhtilafat, of differences. And obviously there are different types of differences. There are differences in matters of aqidah. There's differences in matters of fiqh. And each one of them has their level of tolerance and their level of qabul, of acceptance. And some of them have absolutely no acceptance of differences. It is this or that. There is no in between. There is no difference of opinion. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala above his throne. There's no difference of opinion on that issue. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in 5 different places in the Quran that he is above his throne. And then you get some genius come along and say, no, he's not. Allah is here. Allah is everywhere. Allah is with us. MashaAllah, tabarakallah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is more capable of informing us about himself than we are informing everyone else about him, subhanahu wa ta'ala. So on Hajj, there are different types of ways to perform Hajj. He said, فَمِنَ الْحُجَّاجِ مَنْ يَحُجُّ مُفْرِدًا وَقَارِنًا وَمُتَمَتِّعًا فَيَخْتَلِفُونَ فِي أَعْمَالِ النَّحْرِ فَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ يَحْلِقْ وَهُوَ الْأَفْضَلُ وَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ يُقَصِّرُ. He said that there are different types of, or different ways to perform Hajj. Some people are mufrad, some people are muqtarin, some people are mutamatti'. Alright, so there are different types of Hajj. Even in the actions on the day of Eid, or the day of Nahar, or the day of slaughtering for the people that are, the pilgrims that are on Hajj, it is the day of slaughtering. For everyone else, it is the day of the Eid. So on the day of slaughtering, there's a number of deeds that they have to do. They have to make tawaf al-ifada. They have to make the main tawaf. They have to do the sa'i, right? And they have to do those two. All three have to do those, right? That's important. That's a pillar from the pillars of Hajj. They have to do tawaf al-ifada and the sa'i, right? Then you have to slaughter your animal. Then you have to shave your head. And once you do 3 of the 4 major things, then you can take off your ihram, with the exception of being intimate with your spouse. You cannot do that until all 4 are done. Yani until you are done kamilan with these 4 actions. That's the tawaf, that's the sa'i, that's the shaving of the head, and the slaughtering of your animal completely, and the stoning of the jamarat al-kubra. So those are 4 main actions that have to be done tomorrow, right? And when you're done with 3 of them, you can delay the other one until later on. Maybe it's packed and you can't go do your stoning of the jamarat al-kubra, the main jamarat, the big one. You can't go stone because it's just really packed down there. But you did your tawaf, you did your sa'i, and you shaved your head. You can take off your ihram. You can put on regular clothes now. But you cannot be intimate with your wife because you still have one more act that you have to finish, which is stoning the jamarat. Once you go and you stone the jamarat, you're done with your actions for that day. Tomorrow is something totally different. All right? So the point that I'm making is that even with these 4 things, it doesn't matter which one you choose to do first. Although there is a sunnah as it relates to which one should be done first, which one should be done second, which one should be done third. But the Prophet ﷺ, no one came to him on the day of Nahr and said, "O Messenger of Allah, قَدَّمْتَ هَذَا عَلَى هَذَا وَأَخَّرْتَ هَذَا عَلَى هَذَا." I gave precedence to that. I did this first or I did that last, except that he said, it is jaiz. It is good. Don't worry about it. It's good. Not a problem. He never scolded or never reprimanded anybody for giving precedence to one thing over another or delaying one thing behind another. So even as it relates to the deeds of Hajj on that day, there are people that are going to be doing things different from the way that you're doing them. He said, فَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ يَحْلِقْ وَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ يُقَصِّرْ. There's some people that are going to shave their head all off, and there's some people who are going to lower their head. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, لَتَدْخُلُونَ الْمَسْجِدِ الْحَرَامِ إِنْ شَاءَ اللَّهُ مُقَصِّرِينَ مُحَلِّقِينَ رُؤُوسَهُمْ. That you are going to enter into the Masjid al-Haram aminin, in complete safety, مُحَلِّقِينَ رُؤُوسَهُمْ. Some shaving their heads, وَمُقَصِّرِينَ, and some lowering their hair. So you shouldn't frown upon a person because he decided to lower his head, right? I had a very good brother, very good dear friend of mine, who was studying in Mecca at the time, and every time I would come to Mecca to perform Umrah, you know, I wouldn't like to bald my head because it takes my hair a very long time to grow back, and I just personally don't like the way that I look as my hair begins to its process of growing, right? So I would lower my head, you know, following the sunnah, lowering the head, and he would always debate with me about, you know, what is better. You came from Medina all the way to Mecca. You know, it was a healthy debate, you know, but the point that I'm making is that if we never shorten our hair, how would people even know that it's the sunnah? And we're constantly shaving it all off, and there's nobody lowering, right? When would everybody know that lowering is actually the sunnah as well? So we're not going to just practice one sunnah and overlook or neglect another sunnah. We're going to do something like this sometimes and something like that sometimes. As the scholars say, with putting your hand on your chest, that Shaykh al-Albani rahimahullah ta'ala, he said that sometimes, you know, I put my hand on my chest and sometimes I let my hand dangle to the side when I come up from ruku'. If I was praying next to Shaykh Uthaymeen and Shaykh bin Baz, I would put my hands back on my chest. He said if I wasn't praying next to them, then I would put my hands on my side. He was of the opinion that the hand does not go back on the chest after you come from ruku'. Your hand should be on your side when you come up. When you say, Sami Allahu liman hamida, Rabbana lakal hamd, as opposed to putting your hand back on your chest, to put your hand on your side. He said, but there's no sin if a person does it like this sometimes or does it like that sometimes. Even as it relates to the takbirat for the janazah, raising your hands for the janazah prayer. For each and every takbir, some scholars say that you should raise your hand for every takbir. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. And some scholars say that you don't have to raise your hands. You only for the first takbir. The first one, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, and you never have to take your hands off your chest. And the ending result, as Shaykh Uthaymeen rahimahullah ta'ala said, that it is no sin on a person if he does it like this sometimes and does it like that sometimes, simply because both of them are the sunnah. And if a person does it like this sometimes and does it like that sometimes, and people get to see the sunnah being practiced in its totality, in its entirety. All right? So we shouldn't downplay one sunnah and end up neglecting another sunnah. He said, فيختلفون في مغادر مكة الخروج منها فمنهم متعجل ومنهم متأخر كما قال الله تعالى فمن تعجل في يومين فلا إثم عليه ومن تأخر فلا إثم عليه لمن اتقى. He said, even as it relates to leaving Mecca, people are going to leave Mecca differently. Some people are going to leave in haste after the first day. They're going to be gone. After the first, so tomorrow is the day of the slaughtering, and they do their actions, and then you have the 13th. You have the 11th, the 12th, and the 13th, right? The 3 days, Ayyam al-Tashriq. So the first day, a person could stone the Jamarat, make his tawaf of leaving Mecca, and go. There's the Tawaf al-Qudum, and there's the Tawaf al-Ifada, and then there's the third one, which is the Tawaf of leaving, all right, al-Wada'. He said he could stone the Jamarat, stone the small, the medium, right, and then make his Tawaf, and then some of them, Tawaf al-Wada' is not even an obligation. It's Sunnah, but it doesn't affect like the validity of your Hajj if you left without making Tawaf al-Wada'. There is no sin on the person for doing that if he's mustajil, if he's hasty. All right, but the Prophet ﷺ said, let the last thing that you do before you leave Mecca is a tawaf hawl al-bayt, that you make tawaf around the Kaaba. That's the last thing that you do before you leave. So to stone your jamarat, and then go make your tawaf, and then leave after the first day. And then there's some people that are going to stay all the way into the third day. They're going to stay all the way to the end of the Ayyam and Tashriq, and they're going to leave on the third day. There's some people that's going to leave on the second day. There's some people going to leave on the first day. All right, so even as it relates to leaving Mecca, right, people are going to be different in their leaving of Mecca. So with all of that, وَمَعَ هَذِي اخْتِلَافٍ وَمَعَ اخْتِلَافِهِمْ ذَلِكَ نَجِدْ أَنَّهُمْ إِخْوَةٌ مُتَحَابُونَ فِي اللَّهِ لا يحصل بينهم شجار ولا خصام ولا تدابر ولا تقاطع كما لم يحصل ذلك قبلهم عند الصحابة رضي الله تعالى عنهم أجمعين. And the scholars, they say, so with all of these differences on Hajj, with all of these differences in the way that things are being performed, and the way that things are being done, with all of these differences, you still find that they are brothers. 3-4 million people in one place at one time, doing various actions, doing a multitude of actions, differing from one another in those actions, and yet they're still brothers in Islam. Mutahabuna fillah, they still love each other for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and there's no animosity, there's no hatred, there's no turning their backs on one another, there's no cutting each other off because of these differences, right? Just as it didn't happen amongst the Sahaba when they were performing Hajj. So the question now is, how is it on Hajj with all of these differences we still manage to get along, but after we leave Hajj and we go back to our respective homes and residencies, that we turn our back on this person, don't give salam to that person, don't speak to that person, you know what I mean? And on Hajj we manage to live with our differences. We manage to function amid, major differences in acts of ibadah, in acts of worship. Some of us are differing in matters that are not even worship. It's not even worship. What masjid you decide to pray at, that has absolutely nothing to do with your worship. Oh, because you pray at this masjid, or you pray at that masjid, now I don't want to give you salams. You have got to be kidding me. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala legislated for you to pray. He didn't legislate for you to pray in a particular masjid. He said, وَرَكَعُوا مَعَ الرَّاكِعِينَ. Make rukur with those who make rukur. In the masjid with the Muslims who make rukur. وَعْبُدُوهُ وَاسْجُدُوا لَهُ وَإِلَيْهِ تُقْسَطُونَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, worship Him and prostrate to Him And to him, turn, all of your attention. He didn't say in this particular masjid, behind this particular imam, behind this particular group of people. So we get all up in arms because a person goes to this masjid or goes to that masjid where you find peace in your prayer. Nobody can dictate that to you, man. Maybe I don't find peace praying at your masjid. Maybe if when I pray there, I'm not at ease when I pray there. I'm not at peace when I pray there. Who wants to pray in a place where there's murder and all types of drug dealing and everything else? Who want to pray around an area like that? Who want to pray in an environment like that? And then you find fault with me because I choose some remote masjid somewhere where I can at least find some peace in my prayer, which, helps me to navigate through my day-to-day challenges. You have got to be kidding me, man. How we manage to get along with all of our differences on Hajj. You're muqtarin, I'm mutamattir. I left Mecca after the first day, you left after the third day. I shaved my head, you lowered your head. For all of these differences on Hajj, we still manage to get along and perform our duty so that we can be done with Hajj. That is a reflection of what we should be doing in life. We're all in our environments trying to worship Allah, stay on the Sirat al-Mustaqim, obey Allah and do the right thing by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And although we might have different wajha to another, we might have a different perspective on how we approach that, ultimately the goal is still the same. To earn Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's pleasure. So, it's just so many lessons in this, man, inshallah ta'ala. I'll stop here and inshallah ta'ala later on today, after we do our running around in preparation for the Eid bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, I'll open up the Periscope again and finish the remaining 3 of the benefits that we get from Hajj bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. Brothers and sisters, take this opportunity to reflect deeply on the meaning of Hajj. Reflect deeply on the meaning of Hajj. Reflect deeply on the actions of Hajj. And inshallah ta'ala, make preparation from today. Ibda min al-an, min al-yawm. Begin starting today making preparation to make this journey. Begin preparing to make this journey bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. And as I mentioned before in a post that I put up on my Facebook page, man saddaqallah, saddaqahullah, that whoever is honest in what they want from Allah, Allah will give it to you. Allah looks deep into your heart. Allah sees whether or not you really want it. We say, inshallah, I'm going to make Hajj, inshallah. Allah knows that you're not going to make, you have no intention on making Hajj, right? Allah knows you have no intention in your heart to make Hajj. So therefore, the opportunities never open up for you. Doors never open up to make that easy for you because Allah saw that you were kadhib, that your niyyah was kadhiba, your niyyah was deceptive, your intention was not even real. And then there are those of us, and then sometimes He does open it up just to prove us wrong. He gives us money here, lump sum here, opportunity here, and we turn down every single opportunity. We squander every single blessing. And then at the end of the day, when Hajj comes around again, and someone says, hey, you're going to make Hajj, you say, man, inshallah, next year, hujja ala nafsik, you are proof against your own self. Because you said last year, if given the opportunity, I would, I would do it. And as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to the hypocrites, when they said, لَإِنْ أَمَرْتَهُمْ لَيَخْرُجُونَ, that if you had commanded, and the hypocrites say that if you had commanded them to go out and fight, they would have went out and fight. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, طَاعَةٌ مَعْرُوفَةٌ. Obedience to Allah doesn't need to be said. Like if you're going to do it, you just do it. أقسموا بالله لئن أمرتهم ليخرجون قل لا تقسموا طاعة معروفة. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and the hypocrites, they say, right? أقسموا بالله, they swore by Allah, they gave an oath. Wallahi, wallahi, they swore by Allah. أقسموا بالله لئن أمرتهم ليخرجون. That if you commanded them to go fight, they would go out and fight. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, قُلْ لَا تُقْسِمُوا, don't swear. طَاعَةٌ مَعْرُوفَةٌ. Obedience to Allah doesn't have to be, manifested in an oath. If you're going to do it, you just do it. I don't have to be commanded to go out. When the opportunity presents itself, I'm there. If you would have told me to do it, then I would have did it. No, if I got to tell you to do it, then you wasn't going to do it anyway. Meaning that you were going to do it, but it wasn't going to be done out of sincerity. So therefore, if there's no sincerity in it, then its presence is no different than its absence. Same thing with a marriage. If I got to tell you to do this for me, as an expression of your love, then, then what's the sense? You shouldn't have to swear that you're going to do something. If you're going to do it, you just do it. If obedience is just done, you don't have to be asked to do it. Sincerity, when you sincerely love a person, the person shouldn't have to ask you to do this or to do that. Your sincerity will already, mandate that you do it. So, these concepts are just so rich. But, make your intention from today sincerely that next year, given the opportunity, I'm going to make Hajj next year. This is a pillar from our religion. This is a pillar from our religion. I know brothers who make Hajj every year. And maybe they don't have it like that financially, but when the opportunity presents itself, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sees the sincerity of their heart and He makes it happen for them. He makes it happen for them because there's some level of ikhlas, there's some level of sincerity there. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala just makes it happen for them over and over again. And then there are those of us who've been Muslim 15, 20 years, have never stepped foot on soil in Mecca. Don't even have the intention to do it. While we arguing and debating about this and about that. So, brothers and sisters, this is just a reminder to myself first and foremost and to everyone else. وصلى الله على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. Inshallah ta'ala, I'm going to open up the chat for a few minutes for some questions and answers related to the topic. بإذن الله. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.